What's up, everybody? I am Adam Frex, and welcome back to Talking Dynasty. Hopefully, everyone's had a good weekend. We are officially 1 week away from the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm laughing because somebody had to walk out of the room because they don't like to be in around it. But start off, Shay, if anybody wants to join the show, just leave a message and we'll send you the link. Just make sure you are in a quiet place with kind of your phone and or camera and microphone set up. So, we're going to. So before we get to the Eagles, I haven't had a chance to even discuss with really anybody the thoughts that I had about the Bengals game. The narrative of what it was from like the Kansas City perspective compared to the national perspective. It's kind of two different things. So, from the Kansas City narrative, Patrick Mahomes absolutely played, considering the circumstances, played lights out. Absolutely lights out. For a guy who was obviously in a situation to where he was not 100% and he had the availability to do what he did with what he had. Whenever you're losing three wide receivers of that nature and Tony, Hardman, and Juju, for him to be able to rely on Kelsey still and for MVS to step up in the way that he did in a time that we absolutely needed it. By far, MVS's best game of the season, and uh, almost a surprising performance in my mind. He's probably been underwhelming, if I had to say, for most of the season. So it's one of those things where we definitely we definitely needed that performance, because without MVS having that type of performance on last Sunday versus the Bengals, we would have never had an opportunity to win the AFC Championship and go to the Super Bowl. So it was one of those games as I was watching. I know the score ended up real close, and this is going to go under the banner of coulda, woulda, shoulda. There was a potential that game potentially could have been a blowout, and most of the Chiefs Bengals games, Chiefs had that potential to where they can kind of spread it out, and the Bengals should have never been in the game. Especially, we all know what happened last year in the AFC Championship. But even last Sunday, we had multiple opportunities to put ourselves ahead in a situation to where we go up two scores and put our put our put our foot on their throats and absolutely dominate them. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and bring up the stats here and kind of show you guys kind of what we was dealing with. So total yards, Chiefs were 357 compared to the Bengals 309. Now obviously the first quarter totally lopsided, and the following three quarters the Bengals were just kind of chipping away. They they uh, they looked better through the second and third quarter. Their offensive line kind of started to keep intact and hold off. The Chiefs had no running game, practically no running game. I think Mahomes' full 4 or 5 yard rush there at the end was the longest rush of the game that we had. Uh, and we were able to limit the Bengals too. And going into that game, that was one of the biggest things. They're like, "Hey, what do you think that we have to do?" I said, "We have to limit the run." I think maybe it's just like that. Me watching old school football, you have to stop the run first. If you don't stop the run, you just leave yourself open for play action passing, and it can get absolutely nasty after that point. So for us to stop the run, not keep it a threat, be able to have guys like Chris Jones and Frank Clark. Frank Clark had a hell of a game. I know a lot of it was maybe due to maybe due to how dominant, or sorry, Frank Clark had a great game. I think it was due to how dominant Chris Jones was to while he was able to clean up those sacks. Go ahead and get to the first comment. Alex says, how do you think the D line will be against the Eagles O line? Man, just conversations that I've had with people over this last week, they're saying, hey, what's the keys to the game? It's always up front. Who can win the trenches? Now, a good quarterback can hide a bad offensive line, but only for so long. Once you start playing that top tier D line, you can only hide it for so long. Now, how do I think that the Chiefs will actually do versus the Eagles? Man, that's tough. The Eagles have, two perennial all pros. All five of their guys were either all pros or Pro Bowlers or Pro Bowler reserves. So to have that much talent on the line and for how good they are, it's going to be a tough day. What can Spagnuolo do to set Chris Jones up to be in one-on-one opportunities? He's not going to be over Jason Kelce the whole time to be double teamed. So it's going to be what can he do to ensure that he gets one-on-one opportunities. And there's going to be a lot of times where he is doubled, which, obviously you've seen in the Cincinnati game. I believe it said he was doubled like 83% of the time, and he was still able to wreak absolute havoc. So what can we do schematically to ensure that we get the pressure on that line to open up our guys who've just been absolute dogs? Playoff Frank and Chris Jones have been two of the most important things through this run that we have. So one of the biggest things that I'm concerned about for this particular game on defense is how do the ends set the line. Now, with you have a quarterback in the manner of Jalen Hurts, who is a great running quarterback, and then you have that RPO. You have to have our defense has to have the availability to be absolutely with the fundamentals of that particular play. So it's just that if we aren't in containment and we're constantly trying to either get to the quarterback, especially in an RPO on either ends, this is where I think a guy like Carlos Dunlap will be. We need him to be an absolute fixture on that line this week, because I think he's the one who it has the availability to play the run and to be gap assignment in those situations. If we do not do so, they're going to run all day on us, because Jalen Hurts has shown that he has shown the availability to make the smart play when it comes to do I hand it off on the RPO? Do I tuck and run it? Do I throw it here? So in that situation, we have to make sure that we are very gap assignment. We are not stretching ourselves out too far to where that one RPO play, then boom, Miles Sanders just pops it off. So we go ahead and take this off the screen since we're not talking Bengals right now. So in that situation, the D line might be the most important factor going into this week, especially with a running game of that nature of the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't want to say they're a three-headed monster, but especially a two-headed monster. But you cannot downplay how well Farewell, I believe his name is, how well he's been whenever he's played this year. So they're the top rushing team, I believe, in the league, and they're number 9 in passing. So it's not like they're a slouch when it comes to passing the ball either. When you have two dogs on the outside like that, and Smith and Brown, you have to be, and then you have a tight end like Goddard, so who, in my opinion, is a top 5 tight end when he's healthy, which it seems to be a thing when it comes to tight ends, and we're talking about the rankings of tight ends. Now, in that situation, we need to ensure that we have a guy like Willie Gay who's available. Because I think Nick Bolton could do this well, but I think you're going to see a lot of Willie Gay because I think he probably plays 50 to 60% of the snaps. You might see him a little bit more because we're going to have to respect the run, and we're going to need a guy who can cover the tight end that Philadelphia has. So it's definitely one of those things. If we're not sound defensively on the line, it's going to be a rough. It's going to be a rough go. It's going to be a super rough go at it. So it's not. It's also we've been having that game that we had last week should give you nothing but hopes that there's not an indication that there's an indication that we will continue to do so, that we will continue to wreak havoc up front, be able to stop the run. It's we've had games where we haven't been that great at stopping the run, and we've had other games where we've absolutely taken it out of their play calls, and they've had no choice but to only throw the ball. And if that's the situation that we're in, and honestly, I think that's a situation that we need to put ourselves in, or put Philadelphia in, that make Jalen Hurts hurt us with his arm. No pun intended, but we have to put ourselves in a situation like that. See what he can do with his arm. I know that he's grown exponentially since last year, whenever we just absolutely slaughtered them 40 something to whatever the hell the score was, but we still have to put Jalen Hurts in the situation to where you have to throw the ball to beat us. If you throw the ball to beat us, man, at that point, as a Chiefs fan for that particular game plan, if Jalen Hurts can hurt us with his arm and we kind of shut down everything else, I mean, fuck, props to him. I mean, in that situation, that means that he was just the best quarterback on the field that day. Now, do I think that's something that's going to happen? No, absolutely not. Let me take this banner off real quick because I'm not even talking about. So that's not what's. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Now, obviously, I think there's an echelon when it comes to quarterback. There's Pat, and then you have those other guys chasing them. And right now, I would probably say Burrow, and then we're going to need another season from Hurts to kind of see if he's able to put himself in that upper echelon as far as top tier quarterbacks. There's a lot of talk with him, how there is, the team around him. Julian Love, I believe, from the New York Giants, that commented that, he's a system quarterback, which I don't necessarily agree. They built the system around him to make him as good as possible. I really hate the whole conversation when anytime somebody says, "Oh, this quarter's just this quarterback is just a system quarterback." Eric Michael says, "Close game, whoever goes for 2-point conversion and gets it wins. If they don't make it, they lose. Same with safety. 2 points will decide this. If any of those outcomes make sense, third scenario, expose Eagles and their easy schedule. That's not a high probability." So, yeah, so when it comes to like the easy schedule, I get it. Like I kind of there is some merit to kind of that conversation. But watching the games, like, Philly's a fucking good team. You cannot undermine them. They only can play who's in front of them. It's not college football. They don't get to schedule who's in front of them. They're only playing who's in front of them, and they were that damn good, especially while Jalen Hurts was a quarterback. I know that they had a couple losses with Minshew as quarterback. Now, as kind of far as the scenarios when it comes to 2 points, I've looked at a couple like sites, or either betting sites or win probability, and I think it's like 25-23. They have the Eagles winning as far as like whatever simulation, AI simulations that a lot of these are doing. So it's definitely, I could see that 2-point swing. I definitely kind of see what you're saying with that. Is that a situation where, the team going for two is kind of putting themselves in a situation, kind of like the Eagles did whenever they played the Patriots. That you're doing that extra little something to put yourself in a position to make that other team do a little more maybe than they actually want to do. So I could see that. Um, let's. I don't think either team's going to be exposed per se. So what what I will what I will discuss. I mean, it's one of those things, man. A lot of times these games can probably get out of hand. That's that can happen. Do I think it's going to happen between these two teams? No, I don't, because I think it's a situation where top to bottom, these two teams are top two, one to 53, as far as like how their rosters are built and the depth that they have. So, um, I mean, you you can't downplay that. So I don't have my red glasses on to where like, oh, Chiefs by 50. Now, granted, see me Sunday, those might be my exact words, just because that's when the fan enthusiasm starts popping in. But I think it's definitely going to be a close game. I'm so interested in kind of seeing how both teams strategically kind of approach each other. Like do we see something different, that how these other teams have been playing us? Because Mahomes has shown that we can kind of play anyway. We haven't really got that over the top yet. But if MVS can have the performance like he did, or close to the performance like he did last week, and we have a guy like Tony who has the speed available, never take an opponent for granted. That's how we lose. Patrick and the boys have been earning that money. They left it all on the field, all these playoffs and several games this season. They're ready. I know they have work to win. Chiefs 30, Eagles 28. They won't come out like that Bucks game, less banged up, and they look hungover. They learned. Yeah, see, I agree. So I agree with that. I definitely don't think it's going to be a Chiefs Bucks thing. The Bucks defense that particular year, their defensive line was absolutely ferocious, and it was fucking bad timing for us to lose our left tackle, not have our right tackle, and to throw out the guys that I think that was a year Duvernay was out that year. So that's definitely a situation where that all things considered, if we go in healthy into that, I think it's a lot closer game. At least I sure would fucking hope so. But the Bucks did what they needed to do. I also too believe that it's going to be a close game with the Chiefs and the Eagles. And then, I could see that 30-28, 31-28, something of that nature. I could 24-27. So it's really about who has the best scheme. I think that this is where the two teams have to schematically which ones are better. And you have to like your chances with Reed, because we know how good he is after 2 weeks and having the availability to game plan. That has to lean a little bit. Now, I know, like, if nationally, it's kind of got to this point now, I've noticed with the Chiefs, that everybody just wants the different story. And I get it, because the same thing happened with the Patriots. And granted, we're not on the Patriots level, but we're kind of teetering on that. So what we put ourselves in is that everybody wants us to lose nationally, because once you're good for that long, everybody loves the Cinderella. And I've been this way kind of with sports my whole life. I don't fucking fuck the Cinderella. Give me greatness. Now, I always get this, like, with Chiefs fans, because they're like, Jesus Christ. I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. Huge Tom Brady fan. And like, that's like, I can't do the whole he cheated bullshit. Like, you can't be that good for that long And so what I'm getting to, because I don't want to go on that tangent, because I will. What I'm getting to is that it's one of those deals where I appreciate greatness. I appreciate Tom Brady. I appreciate obviously Michael Jordan. I think he's the GOAT. You have to appreciate a guy like LeBron James, which I know is not popular to say, and I'm not his biggest fan either. But we're working into that thing. It's easy for us with Patrick Mahomes because he's in our city. He's for the team that we're rooting for. But you have to think about all the greats and how they become hated. So it's we're kind of working towards that to where everybody's going to put it in a position to say like, well, this is where the fucking NFL is rigged because our quarterback has greatness. The NFL is rigged, and then I don't want to necessarily say that per se, but you get a lot more of that when you are winning, and it's like, oh, this shit's scripted, and it's one of those things where people refuse to accept kind of what the result is, and they need a reason for the result, and that it can't be just because, hey, at the end of the day, this one team just had more plays that were effective than the other team. So it's definitely a situation where when soon as somebody starts talking about the fucking NFL is rigged, I don't even continue the conversation no more. I used to last year, whenever we lost to Cincinnati, I had so many conversations with fellow Chiefs fans on group posts and about, hey guys, I know that it sucked losing last year. It's like, but this shit's not rigged. I want you to understand that, hey, if we're in the situation we are, which we are, when I was saying last year, if we're back in there, it's kind of you can't either. If you think it's rigged, you need to celebrate the scripts for what they are, because it puts us back in a position where Chiefs are always going to be a contender. So let's not wear our heart on our sleeves and not accept things for what they are. So soon as someone starts, last year I'd argue with anybody fucking for days and days and days about the whole NFL is rigged bullshit. So, but now I'm to the point where you're not going to convince anybody who has that stance that it's going to be any different. And what's stupid is they're going to keep watching. They're going to keep having the same post whenever that their team doesn't have the result that they're looking for. And I've had the argument, every counter argument that there is, as far as like kind of what other people say when people tell me it's an entertainment league. Yes, every fucking sports league is an entertainment league. They do it for tax purposes. I mean, that's, from my understanding, that's first and foremost. So it's one of those things. Chiefs fans, I'm begging you, if we lose, which I don't think we will, if we lose, I don't want to see anybody complaining about the refs or the fucking game is rigged. I'm just asking you, like, let's not be that. Like, let's just kind of take it as it is, because what we're going to get on the other side, if we do win, is you're going to have that other fan base claiming that the shit's rigged. So literally this year, I'm going into it like precursor in people, just like, hey, let's fucking chill out. Let's fucking no, hold on. All right. Only Chiefs fans, I'm not saying that word. Only Chiefs fans run the rigged angle. Now that's all right. You got my ass stuttering. That's absolutely not true, man. I'm in a group post with kind of every NFL team that there is on Facebook, just because I like to kind of get the feeling of like, what's this fan base? What's this fan base think? What's this fan base think? Every fan base is absolutely the same. Something's wrong with them. The way that they come up with this. So if you go to a Bengals page now, Who Dey Nation, I think is what it is. If you go there, they're still talking it's rigged, it's scripted. I can't believe this. And granted, you're going to have some other people talking them off the ledge and like, hey, calm the fuck down. If that was the case, like that rig shit put them in the Super Bowl last year, and it's just kind of so. To say it's only the Chiefs fans, I know that comes from a little bit of a hater because you don't like the Chiefs, which I appreciate that. I appreciate a little bit of the trolling, but it's literally every NFL fan base that is absolutely toxic when it comes to comments boards or message boards or anything like that. People have the availability to throw things out there without no recourse or um, there's no consequences to kind of what people say when they don't have well thought out ideas or opinions. There's they can kind of keep spewing the same shit. That's also a reason why that this whole NFL rigged shit is just like it's a waste of time, especially now. If I was to have a conversation with somebody, a long form conversation, face to face, that's one thing, but kind of going back and forth, uh, kind of go back and forth. Hold on, I'm gonna touch on that. Kind of go. If I can have a long form conversation with another party who says, "Hey, this is rigged," that's one thing. But to be on a comment board saying that shit, y'all gonna have to just like until I have that happen. I'm not going back and forth on the internet. I don't dislike the Chiefs fan. I dislike their fan base. Worse than worse than football America. Man, that's a stretch. You say that because you're around people who live in Kansas City, my guy. You live in Kansas City. So what you do is you get the worst versions of that. The worst fan base, it would have to be the fucking Cowboys, right? Like, they literally think that they've done anything at all. And then you have to take this out to a nationwide span. So it's just hold on. I got a couple fucking trolls on here. I got receipts, but I lived other places. Man, all right, okay, you might have a point. So it's just like I don't have that wide widespread perspective that hey, this is kind of how this. Now, what I will say is like what places were you living in? Now, are you living into a bigger city that has a lot of other people from other places commuting there? So you're not going to get a true fan base or a consistent fan base. You're going to have the people who grew up there, and then you're going to have the people who kind of have came in and they already have their other teams. Like I can see it's a city like Atlanta, LA, Las Vegas, something like that. So it's just to say that we have the worst fan base, that's incorrect. That's absolutely incorrect. Now, do people talk out of their fucking ass? Absolutely. But you also have to take that with a grain of salt. Now, do these people that you're having this conversation, can you have a football conversation with them? Or is this I like to talk shit conversation with them? Because those are two different things. Not every fan and every fan base you can approach the same, because some things are just like, we're just talking shit. And then others like, hey, we can actually talk football. You said it yourself. Every team said it, not just Bengals fans. Must mean something. See, like, no, it doesn't mean nothing. What it is everybody's just butthurt and that they have this feeling, or maybe they just want it to be true, something of that nature. But to you can't convince me that there's thousands of players who have rigged this shit with all this shit on the line, and you're it's too much. It's too much money. That guy in that 53rd spot, that guy on that 53rd spot, you're telling me he's not willing. He's just going to get that one payday from rigging the game when he doesn't even know if he's going to be in. Like it's too much to say that this shit is scripted. And like, I mean, Chris, I love you, brother, but it's kind of like a tinfoil fucking conspiracy, man. You can talk me into the fucking earth is flat before you can talk me into that the NFL is rigged. Like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. My ex-girlfriend lives in Arlington, Cowboys Nations. I was there for Cowboys vs. Brown. Cowboys allegiance can get annoying, but knowing football, actual real football, they're very knowledgeable. I mean, man, that might have been for that particular group. That might have been for that particular group that you had surrounded yourself around. So, like, it'd be no different than like, hey, me and my buddies, like, well, we've been into this shit for so long and just kind of watching every game, and this is something that we talk almost every day. Like, those are the guys that you're going to have fucking decent conversations with, the people who are only hopping on because it's cool. I mean, 2015, there was a whole lot of Royals fans. I don't see too many of these hats. Granted, it's a work hat now. You don't see too many Royals hats out now. Just think about when you seen fucking blue cover the city. Everybody was wearing Royal shit. Everybody just like to everybody likes a winner, man. They want to be attached to something. Like it's not a matter of if like how much they love this team. No, people love boasting. So when it comes to how good the Chiefs have been, especially lately, it's definitely a situation where everybody loves a winner. It's easy to be a Chiefs fan right now. Easy. I mean, for the people who's older, like who was a fan in the fucking 80s when Ron Jaworski was our quarterback? It became easy to become a fan in the 90s too. Granted, we was about to get our fucking heartbroken, but it was easy to be a fan because we were consistently good. Shit, let me see what we got. The Chiefs are part of KC. It's not just a fan base. You'll see 100,000 red on red Friday. We've stuck with the Chiefs for decades. Decades of letdowns, that's for sure. Now it's our time, and we're always psyched, and we do have the best quarterback to ever play next to Brady. I agree with everything in that notion. Everything in that notion. So it's just that it honestly, it's what I will say. It's like this particular fan base has been built up since the 90s and just kind of been bubbling. We hit a low stretch there in the early 2010s, but we were still there. Most Chiefs ain't stuck through nothing. Y'all hopped on when Pat took over. See, I just don't. I can't agree with that notion, my guy. It's just like I cannot agree with that notion. Javi, yeah, man, if you want to hop on, I will send you a link right now. I mean, I don't have callers, but you can come on audio or video either way. So let me know if you want on. That goes for everybody who's watching. If you want on, just let me know, and I'll send you a link, and just kind of have your camera and on your phone. It's all through your phone. Just have your camera set up, and if you don't have a headset or a microphone, don't be too far away from the phone because then it just sounds horribly. So to kind of, he says not all, but a lot. So to kind of play off of that, man, I would definitely say that they're definitely, anytime that a team can have a couple bad seasons, you're going to see a little bit of a dip. I mean, and it's natural. Who wants to go watch a bad team kind of like in person? So like that's gonna be a natural. That 2012 season was absolutely atrocious, but the ticket prices were absolutely great that year. I went every year. The game with the Carolina Panthers after the whole Belcher incident, I bought 6 tickets for $30. So we had a fun event. So there's positives to the Chiefs sucking. So to say that there was a complete drop off, I'm not into that notion that there was a complete drop off, but there's always going to be a drop off to any fan base. And we've got a little bit more too, as far as like a national scene. To where now you have fans who like to root just for particular players. So now you do have more fans who hopped on the bandwagon because maybe they're from Lubbock and they were Texas Tech and now yeah, hold on. I lived behind the stadium and watched since I moved to KC. Dick Vermeil was the coach. Nice try. Yeah, so in '99. So when that was coming off the Gunther Cunningham season. When we went fucking 8-8 and we lost to the Raiders. I think Janikowski, he kicked a game-winning field goal to knock us out, and that was Gunther's last year, I believe. Gunther only had 2 years, I believe, off the top of my head. So, Bam Morris years, man. Yeah, Bam Morris, he had a hell of a game versus the Ravens. So, Adam, we went to school together since elementary. I can name a bunch of guys we know who were not Chiefs fans when Brody Croyle was tossing it up. I don't know who you're surrounding yourself with, my guy. Just like you need to surround yourself with people who ain't so fickle and they ride with their team regardless. So Chiefs fans are only KC. Y'all don't have a big fan base outside of here. I don't know about that. There's definitely other fans. I wouldn't say we have the biggest fan base outside of here. I'll agree with that. Yeah. Hey, then I'll put them in the post later. Let me know. All right, I'm going to send you an invite, Javi. So, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where I don't even know how the fuck we got on this tangent as far as the Chiefs fan base. All fan bases are similar. The more you win, the more fans that you're going to have hop on board. It's like I said, it goes back to the 2015 Royals. This is like the one that I beat, and I was almost. I mean, just kind of give you a little bit of insight. I was almost mad people started rooting for the Royals. I was like, man, where was y'all at? Where was y'all at when I was rooting for Chris George on the starting lineup, Jimmy Gobble? So it's definitely one of those things that, and now look at, nobody can name 5 players on the Royals that were probably at the parade 5 years ago. 8 years ago now. So it's one of those things. Steelers, Cowboys. So I agree. Steelers, Cowboys, Patriots, Raiders got fans everywhere. Now I don't say the Patriots as much. I think the Patriots was a Tom Brady fucking thing. But I will agree with the Steelers, Patriots, Steelers, Cowboys, and Raiders. I would also say that Green Bay travels well. But when you have to talk into we travel well to other stadiums, so it's definitely one of those things where we're definitely spread out, maybe not as deep as, especially like the Raiders and Cowboys might be the 2 deepest fan bases that I've ever came across. See, Mike Sweeney, man. So I kind of got on it to a little before that. Baseball was my first love, but those were good players on bad teams with Mike Sweeney, Jermaine Dye, Carlos Beltran. That's just kind of my point, is that a lot of fans are fickle, man. Like what it is like people. We have just too much hope in other people to begin with to kind of be consistent, and everybody loves a winner. It's no different than you got a couple bucks in your pocket, man. All of a sudden, everybody wants to be your friend again. So it's kind of the same thing with sports teams. If you consider them money right now, Chiefs are one of the, they got the cash on them, and people want to kind of be associated with the person who has the cash on them. So it's definitely one of those situations where I don't blame. I've gotten accustomed to fans jumping on board. Like, it's just fuck it, they're going to do it anyways. Couple down years, they'll be whatever, fucking toast of the town. And that's the thing. I've also seen a couple people bounce from team to team to team. So it's just kind of like, yo, when the fuck did you start being a fan of them? So you're definitely going to get that out of everybody when it comes to that. So baseball is a beautiful sport. Man, I don't know how we got here, but fuck, you are right. All right. We're excited to see what Bobby Witt does. Shit, I'm right there with you. This part, I hate bandwagon fans. Not a fan either, brother, but I've accepted it. All right. So we are going to have a guest on the show. He is one of the longest Chiefs fans that I've known. He's not been a fickle fan. He's been consistent with his team.
Yo, I'm outside on my patio right now, so you might not be able to see me that good.
You're all right. We'll be all right. Let me see here.
Take a seat on this little kid seat. Here we go. How you been, man? I'll talk to you in a minute.
I know, brother. What's going on, man? So let's start on your thoughts of last week's game, man. What was what type of emotional roller coaster was you going on last week?
When Bucker made that field goal, I fist pumped so hard and almost broke my 65-inch TV.
Jeez. So you was going through it, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and my wife was standing next to me and was like, "Oh my God!" And I hurried up and caught that motherfucker before it fell on the ground. But I want to say one thing.
What you got?
I called it the Kelsey Bowl at halftime, and now that's the only thing that's going around. It's Kelsey Bowl.
But you
not that they got it from me, but I was like, it's gonna be the Kelsey Bowl.
Yeah, but that's a natural thing, man. Like that's just gonna come with that territory. Once it did happen, it's gonna be it's one of those things that I used to be in an argument with that's my quarterback about Patrick Mahomes. Like I used to be like, oh, I started that, and then somebody hit me up. It was like, Mayo said it like a year before, so it's just. So it's one of those things, man, where you might have been the first one to maybe post it kind of in your circle, but it's definitely one of those things naturally that I think that everybody would have caught on and kind of would have called it that. So
but I'm very happy that Chris Jones finally stepped up in the playoffs.
He's played okay in the playoffs, though.
Well, he finally got his sack. He finally got his sacks.
Now, he's finally been dominant in the playoffs. He's finally been that all-pro that we've needed him to be in the playoffs. That's been the biggest I wouldn't even say downfall, but kind of the drop-off when it came to Chris Jones in the playoffs was he hasn't been that dominant force. He's just been like a very good defensive tackle. And we've had to rely on, really play off fucking Frank Clark, the year we ran to the Super Bowl to kind of get us in that position.
Yeah, up huge as well. But as far as the Super Bowl is concerned, I'm a little bit. They need to put the pressure on Jalen Hurts like they did on Burrow.
Do you think that they have the same opportunity to do so, though?
They got a great offensive line. Absolutely, they got a damn good offensive line. But I think Spags needs to bring the pressure. If our secondary can hold down the receivers somewhat, not all the way, because I don't think we're going to shut. Obviously, we're not going to shut them down 100%. Right. I think Spags needs to bring the heat.
Now, what do you think defensively is you think getting to the quarterback, like getting sacks and pressure is the most important thing?
I think our defensive ends needs to shut out the outside so that way he can't get out and run too much. And
Right.
if we can do that successfully, and our secondary can hold the receivers for a few seconds while our line does the thing, and if Spags brings the heat with the linebackers, if we can hold the receivers somewhat while our line does their thing, then I think we have a good chance. But if we let him get free outside of the pocket and do the shit that Mahomes does to other teams, then it's going to be a bad day.
So I think my biggest thing is, and I said this earlier because it's probably like I have this old school thought, especially with this particular team, man. I think we have to stop the run, and we have to contain the
Well,
edge.
yeah, yeah.
The biggest
Sanders is he's a hell of a running back,
Right, but my
especially with
biggest
that
worry is
line.
that RPO, man, having that RPO available to where you know Sanders behind that line, man, he's a great running back.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Top 10 running back up behind that line, and then Hurts has the availability to absolutely kill you with his legs on that RPO, and he's shown the availability to actually get the ball down the field as well. So I
yeah,
think containing the run is the most important thing. Putting the Eagles in passing situations
yeah. We got to
to
get him on third and long.
and
But
contain. Try to contain Jalen Hurts in that pocket the best that you can. So
yeah,
hopefully, that's kind of how I would like to see kind of the Spags game plan kind of go towards that. If that's what happens, who knows? Their offensive line uh, has the availability to put it on people, but I think our defensive line has been underestimated this year in terms of whenever we're going into the Super Bowl this year, probably nationally. People are probably surprised, like, oh damn, the Chiefs are they're the second ranked second rank in sacks in the league. So I definitely think it's one of those things where we've been underranked nationally on our defensive line. So it should definitely be a good matchup.
well, I always feel like the RPO has always been our kryptonite.
I agree. The scrambling quarterback, man. The
Yeah,
scrambling quarterback.
especially Lamar. Lamar has exposed that a lot.
Yeah, no, he's definitely. And the thing here is, I wouldn't say Hurts is as good of an athlete as Lamar is, but I think he's a better quarterback. So
I
that's
think
what scares me more.
I think Jalen might be a little bit more athletic though.
I don't know, man. I've only seen a few people run like Lamar, and they're not quarterbacks, bro. So it's just like Lamar's closest thing to Vic I've ever seen. If not, maybe if he's not there, you can talk me into he might be a smidge better.
Uh, I would say he's a little bit faster though, or just as fast.
Yeah, maybe just as fast, man, but he's very elusive. Like to have that type of running quarterback like Lamar, I don't think Hurts will ever put up those numbers. And maybe it's because he possibly don't need to, because I think he has a better arm to where he doesn't need to be put in that situation. But you put
I
Hurts in
also
Baltimore,
I
maybe.
also think Jalen has a lot better staff around him than Lamar has as far as receivers and offensive line wise.
No, I absolutely agree. Like the depth on the Philadelphia Eagles is absolutely it's top to bottom. I mean, like it might be the best in the league. Hoot
So what?
says our offense straight, and yeah, our defense so slept on. It's ridiculous. Now, offensively, what's your keys to the game offensively?
We got to protect the quarterback, man.
Yeah,
We
yep.
got to protect.
Do you
We
think
got to
we
protect.
can? Do you think we
We
can?
got to.
You talk about a team who's like potentially trying to break the team sack record between regular season and postseason.
We got to protect our quarterback and then get to Hurts. I think getting to Hurts is one of the most important things that we need to do.
No, I agree. I agree. So it's just purely kind of keeping Pat upright, which they
I mean,
did a decent job last week.
that's obviously a given to protect him, but also, like I said, our outside rushers need to contain that dude. And just
Yeah, no, I agree. It needs to be a situation where I think we also need to keep a quarterback spy on him. You need to keep your containment on kind of the D end. You need a quarterback spy on Jalen Hurts when he has the ball in his hands, even when he's throwing. That don't let him get out of the pocket or limit what he does when he does
we're
run.
we're not gonna 100% stop him from getting out, but
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
there's
No,
no
but
way.
what you can mostly want to do is hopefully limit a guy in that situation, or a guy of that um, tier of like dual threat quarterback. What can we do to limit?
Yeah,
What can we do to limit him?
like
So
we got to contain him on the defensive line, on the defensive ends, and then I think we need to play maybe like a cover two, and then so
mm-hmm.
that way we can cover if he does get out of the pocket, or if he decides to just throw like a quick slant or something like that, and cover the flats.
Yeah.
So that way,
So
if
they've been
we do get to, so that way if we do get to him, he just can't just like have that quick rescue to where he can just throw it out in the flat or run for a first down.
which I think the Chiefs have been better at through the kind of transgression of the season. I can't remember if it was against against the Bills that they were dumping the ball off a lot, and they got like 70, 80 yards on just dump offs, or not the Bills, but the Bengals in the regular season, and how kind of the Chiefs were kind of playing up closer. They wasn't letting them kind of get the easy yards as much because we was playing off so much. That you're right. I think that's something that we can't let that break our back when we do everything else right, and then that check down just absolutely kills you 3, 4, 5 times a game when it's
Yeah,
third and long and get off. They continue the drive on those check downs. That's definitely something that we have to ensure that
yeah.
we don't
I
let
would.
them take advantage of.
I mean, I would say. I mean, this is just me. Like the ends need to try to contain them. Have a couple on the flats, but also at the same time, I don't know if he's going to play man or zone. That's on Spags. I would personally go zone against the Eagles because AJ Brown is just ridiculous.
No, I agree.
And you could also have Sanders. He's going to be coming out of the backfield a lot, but they need
Yeah.
to contain, cover the flats, and fucking cat. What the fuck are you doing?
So like the zone
Uh,
kind of scares me because it leaves the middle of the field open. Like you
well,
cannot sleep
we've
on.
shown that man on like one on one, man, the man on man it hurts us because that's when that 60-yard pass down the field just fucking kills us.
That's going to happen sometimes, and you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, no, no, yeah,
like
you're right.
so, like just kind of use the 2 plays last week with what Higgins for the touchdown, and Chase with that bomb on what 14 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Dude, that was one. The Higgins one was an absolute fucking dime to Higgins to where he put it in a great spot. Watson didn't get turned around, and the other one that was just Chase just
yeah, well,
being the
yeah,
best guy
yeah,
on the field.
because he's a good ass receiver. Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that.
Right. So I think it's definitely one of those things where you want to sprinkle in a little bit of both, man, because we need to have the availability to do a lot of different things, kind of depending on what they're showing us and what availability, what personnel we have out on the field, what personnel they have out on the field. But it's definitely one of those things. Yeah, I don't want to see us just going one or the other. I don't want to see us just playing nothing but zone, nothing but man up. We definitely need to mix it up. That way we kind of keep them guessing, and we're being the aggressor on defense and not just on our heels the whole time.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we saw some trickery from the Chiefs.
Defensively,
No, offensively. Like
um,
you like when they did that fucking ring around the rosy bullshit. Like not exactly that, but I think we'll definitely
yeah,
see
like
some
the,
trickery.
the the Rose Bowl play we did a couple years ago. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I would not be surprised if we see some trickery in this game. Like something that's going to be like, what the fuck are they doing? You know?
Shorty, the answer is yes, but uh, but yeah, it's I hope we're in a position to do something like that too, man. Just one little play, and
Yeah,
yeah, it
just
was.
something to catch them off guard. You know what? Let's either on the kickoff at the beginning of the game or in the second half,
Ooh,
an
I don't like
onside
those
kick.
plays. No, man, I don't like that shit. I don't like that, man. It's
No,
just
I
like the
don't.
probability, especially now with the lineup, how you have to set the fucking onside recovery, man. Just like, can it happen? Yes. Is it unlikely? Yes, very much so. So, but all right, brother. It's midnight. I actually have to fucking do something and get
As
off of
far as
here.
trickery wise, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that.
Say that again.
I said, as far as trickery, I wouldn't be surprised to see something
Nah,
like
I hope they do something, but I hope it's like while the offense is on the field. Like I don't want to do no onside shit. That scares me. That shit
that.
scares me. So hey, so before we
Who
get
was it that did the onside kick to either open the
Saints,
Super Bowl?
Saints versus the
I thought it
Eagles,
was the Bears.
or Saints versus the Colts.
Oh, okay, and they pulled
Yeah,
it
Saints
off.
Colts. Yeah, they pulled it off. Yeah, because I just know that because I'm Pat McAfee says it all the time because he's always says Drew baby stupid baby or Drew Brees is stupid baby at the time. It's like that picture pisses him off. So it's one of those things. All right,
Well,
brother, I'm gonna have to run out of here. Give me your final score on Chiefs Eagles.
oh shit. 34-28 Chiefs.
34-28. All right, I'll take you up on that. All right, brother. I appreciate you coming
All
on.
right,
I
well,
will check you.
what's your score, man? Don't call me
Uh,
out and you not say
I,
nothing. Come
I
on,
know,
man.
man. I'm probably going to do another show, so I got to hold out on it.
Nah. Do it now. You don't call me out and then you not do it. Come on,
No,
dude.
all right. So I'm guessing 27-21 Chiefs. So I think it's going to be a
27-20.
lower scoring game than people think, man. You're
Yeah. I'll
to go
stick
in the
with
30s.
I'll stick with my 34-28 and hopefully DraftKings agrees with me.
All right, brother. Well, put the money on the line, brother. All right, brother. I'll holler at
All
you.
right. You have a good night,
Later.
man.
You too, brother.
Later.
Everybody else, I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you interacting. Appreciate Javi for hopping on the line with me. So until next time, I'm going to try to get another one of these in. I know I've been infrequent. My schedule sucks. I'm actually about to go to work. Actually, shit, I'm 1 minute late. I'm going to go to work right now. So with me working overnights, it's a little bit tougher for me to actually get these in and sleep or anything. So I don't ever know what my schedule is. On that note, I appreciate you guys.